again. Today's video is the red VYU removing the rear main seal on the Ecotec V6. Already got the gearbox out. Didn't bother filming that because it's pretty straightforward. I've actually got a couple of problems here. You can see where the rear main's been spraying oil inside, and very common on these, the seal's gone in there, which I've already replaced that once, but it's still leaking. You can't buy them anymore, which is great. So I don't know what I'm going to do there, but anyway, we'll get under the car and I'll give you a look at this seal and we'll go from there. Alright, this is the rear main. Now I've knocked this side in trying to center punch a hole. I've got to drill a hole here, put a screw in it and pull it out with a slide hammer. I'll show you that later, but this part is still more or less where it was, and you can see when I put it in, I actually took this whole plate out and I knocked this in out of the car. What I should have done, it's not knocked in enough and it's just this lip's hanging out over the edge of the crank. This bit here I've just knocked in trying to punch that hole, and it all looks good now. So really, even if I just knock this back in, it'll probably be alright, but the thing's out now, so I'm going to change it. So I'm just going to finish drilling this hole and then I'll show you the screw that I'm going to put in, but I'll drill a hole first, no use filming that. Alright, back in a minute. Okay, back again. This is what I've done. Drilled a hole. I don't know if you can see that very well. And I've just put a screw in there. Now I'm going to use a slide hammer. You may get away with just putting pliers and pulling it out, but this slide hammer is actually one that came in one of those paintless dent removal kits with that on the end. You can buy these pretty cheap. You can just get the slide hammer, probably pretty cheap, but I think you probably get away with putting pliers on it and maybe just pulling it or levering it somehow, but you've got to, hang on, let me get this camera up here again. You don't want to go anywhere near this outer edge on the plate or the crank, especially the crank. You mark that, it's always going to leak. Like I said, this has only been leaking because I didn't put this in far enough. I didn't have the seal in properly, but I'm just going to replace it. Probably, hang on, I'm going to be up for a slave cylinder if I can find it. It's hard to see what I'm filming on here. There, I'm going to be up for a slave cylinder. The clutch I put in about 6 years ago. Apparently if you get those Ecotec clutches, there's all different clutch kits for depending on what flywheel you've got. So I just bought the whole kit with the flywheel. You actually get a rear main seal, you get new bolts, everything. I'll put a link down the bottom if anyone's interested. But I'm going to set this up so you can see the slide hammer in action. Alright, just let me set this camera up. Righto, sorry, knocked the camera ass over it and it stopped filming. So this is where we're at. Now, if you use a smaller screw, sometimes you need to put a washer on, but I've just tried this one out and I think it's alright. So I'll slip that over there. You can just see, that's it. That's it there. Screw hanging out of it. I'm going to keep this because I'm going to turn it around this way and use it to knock the new seal in. I don't really want to take this plate off again because even when you drain, you've got to drain your coolant before you do, and even when you drain it you still get it running down and it goes in the sump. So last time I did it, didn't realise, got a sump full of coolant, so I had to drain all the oil out, change the oil. This time I don't really need to because I don't think it's leaking up here. You can see that the seal's soaked in oil. and that's where it's been leaking. I'm going to retighten these bolts and clean all this up. Bit of brake cleaner, get a rag and a screwdriver, clean all in there and get it ready. But for this video, that's about it, because I don't have the parts. So there'll be another video about the installation of the new seal. Okay, see you next time.